All right, Congressman Jason Smith, first of all, thanks for stopping by the Ozark Radio Network today and talking with us for a little while.
It's always great to be here. Thank you, Ed.
Now, what are you doing here in West Plains? Is this your work week this week?
This is our congressional work week where we're traveling throughout the district, and today we've spent the whole day in West Plains, which has been nice. We started out visiting AREVAC. You know, we were there whenever we broke the ground a couple years ago with the governor, and it's good to see the facility in use. And then we went to Ozark Action. Gave them a congressional record celebrating their 50 years. And also, we went through Perennial Energy and then met with some county elected officials, just hearing their concerns. So it's been a good full day right here in Howe County.
Now, you've been pretty busy here recently with a couple of acts that you've helped with or written. For our listeners, talk a bit about the Scrub Act first and foremost.
The Scrub Act is a piece of legislation that we started working on when we first got to Congress. We have passed it out of committee every year that we've been here, but this is the first year that we've passed it out of Congress, and we passed it out of the House. It was, in fact, the first piece of legislation that was voted on this year in January, and it reforms all the rules and regulations. We have over 175,268 pages of rules on the books, and it puts a process forward that requires the agencies to go back and review that any unnecessary or burdensome rules are taken off the books. We have rules that have been on the books that say would affect dairy farmers, that if a dairy farmer had more than 1,320 gallons of milk, that they would have to have the same kind of Hazardous Spill Prevention Act as like BP Amoco. I mean, ridiculous rules. We all believe in reasonable regulations, but not unnecessary regulations. And this is one thing we've been fighting from day one, from the power plant rules to the ambient air quality to waters of the United States, or even wood heating stoves. I mean, crazy regulations that we've been pushing back on. This week, in fact, something that was very important is the Supreme Court issued a stay.
Right.
On the power plan rules, basically until the lower courts decide whether these rules are constitutional or not. And we've said all along we believe that the president went beyond his authority in implementing the power plan rules, and if they take an effect, you could see our utility rates almost double and triple throughout our congressional district, because almost 82 to 84% of all of our electric generation in our district is concentrated from coal power. And this would limit the use of coal power if these rules take an effect.
Now, what was the other act that you had been working on and actually had got passed out? And I believe it's at the president's desk, right?
It is. The Enforce Act is something that we've been working on for over a year, and this would enforce customs to put stronger restrictions against these unfair trade practices that's happening with companies like China illegally dumping mass quantities of steel and other products by bypassing agreements and going through Malaysia and stamping on made in Malaysia when it was actually made in China. And it's requiring more guidelines, more stringent requirements to help prevent this from happening. And this was something that I had attached to the customs bill last December, in fact. And then the Senate just picked it up on Thursday and passed it and sent it to the president's desk. And the president has said that he is going to sign the customs bill, so it'll be nice to have that piece of legislation on there. And right before Christmas, we had two amendments that we had been working on that were sent to the president's desk, and he actually signed them, which dealt with Section 179, which would prevent a 2,000% tax increase on small businesses and farmers whenever they're looking at deductions for equipment in various purchases. And we also had another piece of legislation that we had filed that I included in there that dealt with work colleges. Colleges like College of the Ozarks, the IRS tried to tax their work scholarship programs, which that's not the intent, and so our legislation would prevent that from happening, which was also signed into law. So it's been a little bit busy the last few months, but it's good to see things coming through the pipeline.
Now, what do you have planned for this year? Any goals?
Absolutely. Tax reform is something that I have a huge passion in. Serving on the Ways and Means Committee, I think that we can definitely make our tax code simpler, flatter, and fairer. But also, we have to restructure the poverty programs that we have. And that is something our committee has been focusing on. We have to incentivize people to get off the system. We need to make sure that the welfare programs that are there to help those who can't help themselves. But whenever you look at a single mother who may have 2 kids that work at the local convenience store, that if she would get a pay raise, that in fact her quality of life would be diminished because she might lose her child care subsidies or extra food stamps. The whole system is broken, and we need to make sure we incentivize people to get off the system, not punish them. And it would almost be to her detriment to take a pay raise, which is ridiculous. That's not how the American dream is supposed to be positioning people. And so we need to revamp the whole system to just incentivize people to work, to get off the system, and not be punished for doing better.
Some big hot button topics going on right now I wanted to ask you about. First one, and probably the most recent one, was the death of Supreme Court Justice Scalia. What are your thoughts on his tenure on the Supreme Court, and how do you think that whole thing should play out?
Saturday was a very sad day. Justice Scalia is an individual that I had met with several times, someone who I respected greatly and had a passion for our Constitution and protecting our freedoms, and was a very strong conservative. And I looked up to him immensely, and it's going to be a hotly debated issue throughout it looks like the next year. And I truly believe that if the president appoints or nominates someone to this situation, to this position, to fill Scalia's place, it needs to be someone who mirrors him. The court has been equally divided, and he's truly the most conservative on the court, and I would hate to see him replaced by someone that would try to undo all the policies that he's worked on for the last 30 years.
Another big topic, especially in the media, is the presidential race on both sides. We have a very, very interesting race on the Republican side, and we're down to basically 2 now here on the Democratic side. What are your thoughts on both sides, and how do you think November's going to pan out?
Ed, it's very interesting on both sides. If you would have looked back a year ago and said that it would be a race on the Democrat side between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, everyone would have disagreed with you. In fact, a year ago, most people would have believed that the 2 nominees would be Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. And right now, it's quite possible that it could be Bernie Sanders and, who else of the other 5 candidates. But it's very interesting to watch. I think we're going to learn a lot from this election cycle. We see that people are very upset and fed up with what's going on in government. I completely understand because I'm with them. Working in it in the last 2.5 years has been extremely frustrating, and trying to get real effective change that could help benefit our region and the people in rural America has been a struggle. And I'm hoping with the right person that can be the nominee of my party can help win the White House. And I think that we have a great shot of any of the 6 candidates.
So what's the rest of your week look like, and what do you kind of have coming up immediately when you get back to Washington?
We're going to end the night up in Salem, visiting with it's their annual extension banquet. And then tomorrow we're heading on over to a rice cooperative growers meeting in Malden, and a couple stops in Poplar Bluff in the evening in Cape Girardeau, and the rest of the week will be either in Farmington or the eastern side of the district.
All right, anything else you want to add, sir?
It's always good to be down in West Plains, and good to see you, Ed.
All right,
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for talking with us.
Appreciate it.